beneath the relentless hum of modern life, there lies a secret that unsettles even the most steadfast souls, a secret buried in the paradox of our most cherished virtue. In the silence of a rain-soaked midnight, when the world seems to hold its breath, you find yourself confronted with an uncomfortable truth. Kindness, that luminous beacon of human decency, carries a hidden price. It is a gentle, yet persistent force that nudges you into a realm where the noble act of compassion transforms into an intricate labyrinth of obligations and self-doubt. How can the warmth of a generous heart simultaneously cast a shadow of vulnerability? At its core, kindness is an act of reaching out, yet it may also open doors for exploitation, manipulation, and the erosion of personal boundaries. The very quality that binds us together, empathy, sacrifice, and understanding, can also tether you to expectations you never asked for, creating a silent pressure that weighs as heavily as any physical burden. In the interplay between giving and receiving, a paradox emerges. The more you offer your gentle spirit, the more you risk diluting your own essence. Are you unwittingly sacrificing parts of your identity on the altar of benevolence? Does the moral imperative to care for others inevitably leave you depleted, questioning if the price of empathy is too high? Such unsettling questions stir in the quiet recesses of your mind, urging you to scrutinize the very foundation of what you hold dear. This contradiction becomes even more perplexing when you recall that those who wield power, and indeed those whose survival depends on it, have long recognized the double-edged nature of compassion. Centuries ago, Machiavelli warned of the peril that lies in exposing one's soft side, asserting that untempered kindness can be a liability in a world ruled by cunning and self-interest. As these thoughts swirl, a profound question looms. Is there a dark side to the virtue that unites us? And can the act of kindness ever truly be free from its insidious cost? The tension between idealism and pragmatism is palpable, setting the stage for a journey into the roots of this enigma, a journey that will delve into the psychological and philosophical underpinnings of our compassionate nature. You stand at a crossroads where the ancient wisdom of political realism meets the intricate fabric of the human psyche. Here, the celebrated virtue of kindness is revealed as both a beacon and a barrier, a phenomenon steeped in psychological nuance and philosophical ambiguity. At the heart of this conundrum lies an inherent conflict between our desire for connection and the instinct for self-preservation. Historically, Machiavelli cast a wary eye on unbridled benevolence, arguing that overt kindness exposes the soft underbelly of power. His insights were not born of cynicism alone, but of a keen observation of the human condition, a condition where empathy, though noble, becomes a liability in a world rife with ambition and exploitation. This duality resonates with the ideas of Carl Jung, who spoke of the shadow self lurking beneath our conscious personas. In extending compassion, you risk unleashing hidden vulnerabilities, inviting your darker, unacknowledged aspects into the light. Friedrich Nietzsche, too, challenged the conventional sanctity of kindness. He proposed that the herd mentality, where compassion is universally lauded, often stifles individual excellence and breeds mediocrity. According to Nietzsche, the pressure to conform to societal norms of empathy can impede the cultivation of a strong, self-reliant spirit. In this light, kindness transforms from an unequivocal good into a complex interplay of personal sacrifice and societal expectation. Delving further into the philosophical terrain, Arthur Schopenhauer's musings on human suffering reveal another dimension. He posited that the relentless pursuit of alleviating pain through compassion often traps you in a cycle of endless empathy, a state where the boundary between self and other blurs, leaving you entangled in the suffering of the masses. Aldous Huxley's reflections echo this sentiment, suggesting that modern society's fixation on caring for others can inadvertently suppress individual agency and the quest for deeper self-actualization. Jean-Paul Sartre's existentialist philosophy further complicates this narrative by insisting that freedom comes with the burden of choice. When you allow kindness to dictate your every action, you may inadvertently surrender the autonomy that defines your true self. Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, born from the crucible of unimaginable despair, teaches that meaning is found not solely in selfless acts, but in the confrontation with one's own existential dilemmas. This confrontation, brutal yet liberating, offers a glimpse into the hidden cost of a life devoted entirely to the service of others. As you grapple with these perspectives, a disquieting realization emerges. The very forces that compel you to be kind may also be the ones that diminish your individuality. Compassion, when untempered by self-awareness, becomes an insidious trap, luring you into a web of dependency and compromised authenticity. The psychological roots of this phenomenon are deep, entwining cultural conditioning, neurobiological wiring, and the perennial struggle between self-interest and altruism. Why do you feel compelled to give, even when it drains your essence? The answer lies in a profound psychological need to be seen, to belong, and to affirm your worth in the eyes of others. Yet in doing so, you risk obscuring your true self, sacrificing personal ambition at the altar of communal expectation. This is the hidden problem, an internal conflict where the noble impulse of kindness is at odds with the imperative to preserve one's identity and autonomy. In the coming moments, as you prepare to peer into the abyss of consequence, remember that this conflict is not merely a modern affliction. It is an age-old struggle that continues to shape your emotions, decisions, and destiny, a silent war waged within the confines of your soul. You find yourself caught in a labyrinth where every act of compassion subtly rewrites the narrative of your inner world. Beneath the surface of everyday interactions, unseen consequences take root, shaping not only individual destinies, but also the fabric of society itself. The act of kindness, though seemingly pure, can trigger a cascade of cognitive biases and neurological shifts that slowly alter the balance of power between self and other. Consider the notion of reciprocity. When you extend kindness, a powerful, almost automatic expectation arises that the gesture will be returned. This mental ledger, maintained by your brain's reward circuitry, can turn even the most altruistic deed into a transaction. You begin to wonder, silently and persistently, if every act of compassion is, in its essence, a subtle negotiation for future favor. This realization stokes a simmering tension, a nagging question of whether you are, in fact, being manipulated by your own benevolence. At the societal level, the conditioning to be kind has far-reaching ramifications. Cultural narratives celebrate selflessness as the highest form of virtue, yet this very ideal can be weaponized. The collective expectation to always show compassion creates an environment where dissent is discouraged and individual weaknesses are exploited by those who understand the hidden costs of this social contract. Your willingness to forgive, to empathize, and to nurture becomes a vulnerability, one that can be preyed upon by individuals driven by ambition rather than genuine concern. Neurologically, the brain responds to acts of kindness with a release of oxytocin, a hormone that fosters trust and bonding. While this biochemical cascade strengthens social connections, it also reinforces dependency. The more you give, the more you are conditioned to seek the emotional high of approval and belonging. In this delicate interplay between neurotransmitters and emotions, you might find yourself trapped in a cycle where your self-worth is inextricably linked to external validation. Each kind gesture then becomes a thread in a web that slowly entangles your autonomy. Moreover, Cognitive biases, such as the halo effect, where a single act of kindness skews your overall self-perception, can distort your reality. You start to perceive yourself primarily as a giver, relegating other dimensions of your identity to the background. Over time, the silent pressure to live up to this ideal can lead to burnout, a profound sense of emptiness that lurks behind every smile and every act of generosity. The unseen consequence is not merely emotional fatigue, but a deeper existential erosion, a gradual dissolution of the self that questions whether your inner light is being smothered by the shadows of obligation. This hidden trap manifests in subtle ways. In the quiet moments when you wonder if your worth is measured solely by your ability to care, or in the uneasy silence after a selfless act, when the absence of reciprocation echoes louder than any applause. The weight of unreturned kindness can accumulate like snow on a barren landscape, eventually obscuring the very vision you once held clear. And so, as you navigate this intricate maze of compassion and consequence, the urgency to break free from the unseen chains becomes palpable. There is an unspoken call to reclaim the balance between empathy and self-preservation, a call that resonates deep within, urging you to question whether the price of kindness is one you are willing to pay. The moment of reckoning looms, and with it, the promise of a transformative revelation that could forever alter the way you perceive the world and your place within it. In the depths of this internal strife, a radical rebellion begins, a courageous defiance against the entrenched belief that compassion must come at the cost of your true self. This rebellion is not an outright renunciation of kindness, but a profound shift in perspective that reclaims your autonomy and reshapes the narrative of empathy. It is the recognition that true strength lies not in self-sacrifice alone, but in the harmonious balance between giving and guarding the essence of who you are. You begin by challenging the automatic scripts embedded deep within your psyche. The first step is to dismantle the illusion that every act of kindness creates an unbreakable bond of indebtedness. Instead, you learn to set clear boundaries, recognizing that genuine compassion flows from an inner reservoir that remains untouched by the demands of others. By asserting your own needs alongside those of others, you reclaim the power to choose when and how to extend your generosity, free from the expectation of reciprocation. Historical examples serve as beacons on this transformative journey. Consider the Stoic philosophers who recognize that true resilience arises from the fortification of the inner self. Their teachings remind you that self-care and detachment are not antithetical to empathy. Rather, they are its necessary companions. Figures like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus did not renounce kindness, but they tempered it with reason and personal responsibility. Their lives illustrate that a fortified spirit can care deeply without becoming ensnared in the web of dependency. Embracing this rebellion requires a reconfiguration of your inner dialogue. You must learn to question the cognitive biases that have long dictated your actions. Each time you feel compelled to extend yourself beyond your means, pause and assess whether your generosity stems from a place of genuine desire or from an ingrained need for external validation. Cultivating mindfulness allows you to recognize these triggers in real time, offering you the opportunity to choose a path that nurtures both yourself and others. At the heart of this shift is the courage to redefine success on your own terms. Rather than measuring your worth by the quantity of kindness dispensed, you begin to value the quality of your inner life. You discover that true compassion flourishes when it is balanced with self-respect, a realization that transforms your interactions into exchanges that uplift rather than deplete. This newfound balance is like a secret key, unlocking reservoirs of inner strength that have long lain dormant. As you forge this rebellious path, you might draw inspiration from contemporary thinkers who challenge the conventional wisdom of selflessness. Their counterintuitive insights push you to see that breaking free from the tyranny of obligatory kindness is not an act of selfishness, but of profound self-care. You learn that establishing boundaries is not a rejection of empathy. It is an affirmation of your right to exist fully and authentically in the world. Each decision to protect your inner sanctum becomes a quiet act of revolution, a step toward a future where kindness is a choice, not a mandate. In reclaiming your autonomy, you unlock the power to love without losing yourself, to nurture without being consumed. This is the essence of the rebellion, a deliberate, courageous act of self-preservation that redefines the very meaning of compassion. In the final reckoning, a singular, transformative truth emerges, a revelation that shatters the old paradigms and illuminates a new path forward. You come to understand that the hidden cost of compassion is not a curse to be borne, but a profound lesson in the delicate art of balance. True kindness is not an endless reservoir to be drained. It is a finite, sacred resource that must be nurtured and protected. This ultimate truth lies in recognizing that every act of compassion is a negotiation, a dynamic interplay between selflessness and self-care. When you embrace this duality, you transform from a passive recipient of societal expectations into an active architect of your destiny. The vulnerability inherent in kindness is not a weakness to be feared, but an invitation to cultivate a deeper, more resilient form of love. It is an acknowledgement that in the giving, you also receive the gift of insight into your own humanity and the courage to stand firm in your authenticity. The wisdom of the ages converges in this final insight. Machiavelli's caution, once perceived as a cold indictment of kindness, is now revealed as a strategic warning. To navigate a world fraught with exploitation, you must guard the sanctity of your inner self. It is a call to adopt a more discerning, balanced approach to empathy, one that honors both the needs of others and the imperatives of your own spirit. In this light, compassion becomes a deliberate act of empowerment, a way to enrich your life without sacrificing your core identity. As you reflect on this revelation, a cinematic vision unfolds before your eyes, a horizon where the interplay of light and shadow creates a tapestry of possibility. Here, the lessons of the past meld with the promise of the future, and you stand at the threshold of a new era of self-determined kindness. You realize that the paradox is not an unsolvable dilemma, but an open invitation to recalibrate your emotional compass and steer a course that honors the full spectrum of your humanity. In this quiet moment of clarity, the boundaries between strength and vulnerability blur, revealing a landscape where true compassion is measured not by endless sacrifice, but by the wisdom to discern when to give and when to hold fast. The realization is both liberating and humbling. In embracing the hidden cost of kindness, you unlock the power to live a life that is as compassionate as it is self-sustaining. This final truth reverberates in every fiber of your being, urging you to carry forward a legacy of balanced empathy, a legacy that challenges the conventional narrative and redefines what it means to care. As you step into this new paradigm, you carry with you the assurance that every act of genuine kindness, when rooted in self-respect, is not a sacrifice, but a celebration of life's intricate, intertwined beauty. Let this revelation be your guiding star, a constant reminder that in the dance between giving and guarding, you hold the power to create a future where compassion is both a gift to others and a sacred tribute to your own indomitable spirit. In the echo of these truths, you are left not with answers that resolve every dilemma, but with a profound invitation to question, to redefine, and ultimately to rise above the limitations that once bound you. The journey toward balanced compassion has only just begun, and its call is as timeless as it is urgent.